right. My name is David Issac. I'm from Detroit. Started out there and, worked in various genres of music back there, whether it was R&B, gospel, and pop, rock, and hip-hop. The beginning stages was with Parliament Funkadelic. I was about 14, 15 years old, doing hand claps back when it was real hand claps. And then started working with Michael Powell, doing Anita Baker and different artists like that, and eventually came to L.A. and was working with artists such as Whitney Houston and Madonna, and Kenny Rogers, Earth, Wind & Fire, Eric Clapton. Back when I started to get into Logic, which was back around Logic 2.0, I started to see that the music industry was going to go toward, using hard drives and DAWs and things like that. And, of course, when Pro Tools came along and Paris and things like that, I knew that was the way to go. So what I started to do was make sure that I was up on it and stayed, kept my ear to the ground, knew what the guys were using, and gravitated more toward those directions of Pro Tools and Logic. With software instruments, I started to get a sense that from working in the studios with tape and with synthesizers that were, external synthesizers, it was always a problem of recalling them exact. So with the concept of software instruments, I wanted to make sure that I learned how to not only manipulate them like I would when I was programming analog synths, but also learn to work with them so that way I would have total recall with everything that was involved with the project also. And, of course, here we are today where everybody's doing it in the box. 50% of the guys or more are doing it in the box. So it was a good thing that I followed that trend. Yes. I don't have a lot of time to learn software or to learn new hardware and incorporate it good enough to where I can, by the next project, I can be at the same speed and pace that I was the last time someone saw me or worked with me. But with Chord 2, what it allowed me to do was find everything that I needed immediately without having to open a lot of plugins, without having to open a lot of effects. I could pull it all up right there in Chord 2 and layer them, layer things easily. I would be able to see and not only load the sounds from native instruments, but also my third-party stuff, layer those and manipulate them from the Chord 2. Also, I would be able to do the same thing with the effects in my computer. So that made it really easy. So I found myself not having to open up anything really, unless I really wanted to go in and really do some tricky editing. And even with that, with the I call them hotkeys. I don't know what you guys would call them, but I can find certain parameters that I would use for editing and then set them up on the Chord 2 so that way I didn't have to go back into the synth or into the effects anymore. So it really became a very important part with the things that I was doing and the way that I work, because I knew all I have to do is pull up the Chord 2 and I would see all of my settings and all the patches that I tagged that I like to use with any software, whether it was the native instruments or anything outside of that, which was perfect for me. It sees all of my software. And the good thing about it is because I have a lot of software, it helps me to not have to go through and open up and instantiate a lot of plugins just to try things. If I'm in the studio and I'm working on speed and I just want to go through basses, I can just pull up my tag for basses, the types of basses that I'm looking for, and any other kind of term analogy that I want to give it, and go right through everything and just audition them right then and there without having to do a lot of pulling up and closing and that whole deal. I'm always designing off the cuff, based on the song or based on the inspiration. Sometimes if I'm talking with someone, talking with an artist, talking with a producer, and they're talking about the type of music that they listen to or the kind of music that they're listening to right now or grew up on, I'm always developing things right off, the spur of the moment that will fit that just because I'm inspired by that. So I'll save it and then I'll tag it as, Larry Graham kind of bass or Terry Lewis Jimmy Jam bass or 70s Motown bass, you know what I mean? So that kind of stuff. In this industry, and especially when you're dealing with top-notch producers and in high-end sessions, It's all about speed and getting it done. And if you're a major player where you're doing various sessions in one day, you definitely have to be able to do your thing and head to the next session. So the best way to be able to do that and work at speed is to not have to look around a lot of places to do your stuff. If you know your quick keys and you have something like Chord 2 that organizes everything for you, and you can pull up everything within it, and you can play with it, you can change it, because that's another thing about Chord 2. If I pull up a sound that I like, and we're close, but it's not just right, I can use the 8 variation buttons and either fine-tune it into the song, or I could play with it and morph it, through the song just to give it a little bit more if I wanted to trick it out a little bit. But it allows me to have the speed that I need to lay the part down and move on to the next part without going through a lot of software. Another thing that I like about Core and Core 2 is that you can incorporate other sounds from native instruments into it also, like the Core sound packs. And within the Core sound packs, you guys probably have probably 15 or so, yeah. And you can design it and set it up based on the way you work and the type of music you're doing, whether it's dance or trance, or you're into keyboards, or you're into sound effects and scoring. There's a wide array of sound packs that you could use to really fine-tune your own setup in Core and with the native instrument stuff. So even if you're just a keyboard player, there's a sound pack for you. If you're a soundtrack scoring producer, there's sound packs for you. So it's something there for you if you look, that's for sure. I'm definitely going to do my part to take it back to real musicianship, real songs with energy and from the heart, because I believe if you do anything from the heart, it'll reach other hearts and they'll get it. Whether we speak the same language or not, musically, they will understand it just from the energy that I put into it. So I want to make sure that I put out music and do things where I put my heart into it and it can reach other hearts. I'm doing my putting the finishing touches on my own CD, which is a funk R&B CD that's based on a lot of the 70s music, like Cameo and Earth, Wind & Fire and Mandrill and stuff like that. So it's coming along great. It's coming along great. With the other stuff from native instruments, along with the sound packs, if you can't make it work with that, you need to find another job.